Hi, everyone, and welcome to True Crime Tuesday on the Girlfriend Hour. I'm your host, Rachel Faust. Let's get weird.
Yes.
Started taking a drink as that happened. I was like, oh.
It's totally fine. Totally fine. It honestly, I feel like it adds a little pizzazz, a little
Yeah,
spice to
a
our
lot
intro, so
sweeter.
it's not the same thing every time.
Exactly. It's just a
We
little,
almost caught
fun.
a true crime Rachel choking to death on the
Yeah,
podcast.
yes. I'm taking a drink and trying not to laugh at the same time.
So go ahead, Rachel. Tell us what our topic is today on True Crime Tuesdays with Rachel.
True Crime Tuesday. First off, do you have any Halloween decorations up yet? I've been taking
No.
hold of my people. All
I'm
right.
literally slacking so hard. And like I said to Matt the other day, is like I made the step of buying some Lamax Spooky Town pieces for my village.
Mhm.
But I've been like really delayed. And I don't know if it's just because the stores are really lackluster this year. I'm kind of
Mhm.
like I don't it's a bummer. Like I'm feeling the spirit vibe and I'm feeling all the Halloween spirit, but like it's not matching. Like I'm
I've
going
been
in the
trying to like,
store.
yeah, subtle things out right now. Like just,
Yeah.
here and there, it's starting to creep out, but I don't know how much longer it's gonna be able to hold me.
And honestly, to all of our listeners, if you live in an area that starts Halloween early, I just want you to know that I hate you. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I am very salty about the fact that I see all these people on TikTok and like YouTube
They have
and
all the cool
Reels.
things.
And I'm
There
like,
are cool things. Lowe's was pretty great the other day when I went. They had all their things and they
that
had
looked
this
good.
giant scarecrow and like he was so cool. It's just the giant things scare me because I had a giant he was like a skeleton scarecrow pumpkin guy from Home Depot and
Oh,
he fell
yeah.
one time last year and we couldn't get him back. So it's just like until
No.
make him a little more sturdy, like I'm not spending $400 on a giant creature anymore.
So it was broke.
Yeah.
Wow. That would make me
And
so
they're all,
upset.
yeah, they're all plastic. So it's just the pieces just a storm hit and he just fell and all the pieces cracked and then he lived in my
No.
backyard for a little bit. So then we unfortunately had to let him go because we just tried our best to put him back together and he wasn't the same. So
That was honestly the saddest Halloween story I think I've ever heard. Like a
yeah,
Halloween decor casualty just
because he
like
was
makes
so
my heart
cool.
shrivel up.
He was so cool.
I
All
feel
right.
like honestly, okay, so if we ever get sponsored, Lowe's or Home Depot or any of these places where we get all of our Halloween treats, I will not be sponsored by you until you come out with a solid warranty for that. Well, how many feet is it?
He's like 12 feet tall.
12-foot tall
They just
Halloween
need to make him a little more
decorations.
sturdy, a little more sturdy.
And if you don't, a good warranty that
Yes,
covers everything.
will replace bones
It better cover fibulas, tibulas,
and all the parts in
fistulas. I don't even think
between.
that's the thing. I think fistulas are something that like grow on your butt. But either way, we're gonna
It'll
that's a
cover.
hemorrhoid. Oh my gosh, my healthcare background is not showing right now. Good Lord.
Oh my
Anyways, we're
God.
gonna move on from the ass
Yep.
wounds
It was
and
just
onto something.
my poll for today. All right. So today we're diving into the chilling case of Tyler Hadley and the events that unfolded during the house party that shocked his community.
It's pretty crazy.
This one is a wild one. It definitely is. So, in the summer of 2011, the town of oh my God, Port St. Lucie was about to be forever marked by an unimaginable crime. Oh my God, I am losing it. Oh, gotta get
That's all right. I just dropped my microphone on my chin. I was like,
it. Gotta get it out. All right. So, 17-year-old Tyler Hadley seemed to be an average teenager. But he had been harboring a dark secret that was about to be revealed to everyone in that community. So he was known for his charismatic personality, his ability to connect with each other or with others. But beneath the surface, a growing sense of isolation and instability was brewing. Friends and family would later recount that his behavior had taken a disturbing turn, and there were signs of drug abuse and general like detachment from his usual circles of friends.
and he had a history of criminal behavior. He
Yeah.
was he was in trouble with the law.
Yeah, so it's not surprising what had happened. So days turned into weeks and Tyler's troubles deepened. He had been suspended from school. His drug use was becoming increasingly problematic. Those close to him noticed that his mental state was deteriorating. He was once joyful, replaced by, him just seeming very unsettling. And like when you see the pictures of him, like he just has those like dead eyes. Like
I call them shark eyes. Like
yeah,
anytime I see somebody that has like those, like they're just like dark and scary. Like there's nothing behind them. And like when
yeah,
I see them, I'm like, oh, I don't like you. Like we can't.
you can
You're
just
scared. You're
tell.
probably a narcissist or a
Yeah.
psychopath. Like it's a
Like,
look. When you see it, you'll always recognize it. It's scary.
yeah. So the night of July 16th, 2011 came. Tyler Hadley threw a house party that would soon be the talk of the town for all the wrong reasons. What none of the party goers knew that just hours before the festivities, Tyler had brutally murdered his parents, Blake and Mary Jo Hadley, with a hammer. So the timeline of kind of events, 8 a.m., the party starts. His friends start arriving, unaware of the things that had happened, lively music, all the friends were having such a great time. So during the party, partygoers report that Tyler had, been in high spirits, mingling among the guests, acting, as the gracious host. Some of his friends later recalled that they had shared that it was unsettling because he had been acting so weird before, but then he was back to his normal self at this party. So during the night, his behavior became increasingly erratic. He began to confide in a few friends, revealing the shocking truth that he had claimed to kill his parents with a hammer earlier that day. So a sense of unease had spread among the partygoers. Some individuals were uncertain if they believed his confession or not. So
I mean, that's a
later,
weird thing to say and it not be true. Like, you know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
Yep. So by 11:30, people are starting to get weirded out by this rumor going around the party. So some of them are starting to leave and feeling very uncomfortable and disturbed by Tyler's chilling revelation. As they exit the house, some of the people start to contact law enforcement and report, what he had said. So, so I just can't imagine being a part of me like, what just happened? I think we need to call the cops.
Yeah, I mean, like when you think back to like some of your high school parties that you attended, like you're going, you're just like, okay, I'm just trying to like hit the keg, maybe dance, like hang out with my friends. And like if somebody straight up was like, yeah,
I
before you
killed my
guys came
parents.
here, I just like murdered my parents, I would be like,
What?
um, I'm gonna go out to the garage and I'm gonna go grab a drink and then leave really fast and call 911 in the process. Like that's
Exactly.
ugh.
So by 12 a.m., law enforcement arrives to the Hadley residence in response to an anonymous tip. Upon entering the room or the home, they had discovered the lifeless bodies of Tyler's parents upstairs in his bedroom. And what the weirdest part is when they talk about this case is all of the stuff that was piled on top of them. Like it was just contents of the house, chairs, lamps, blankets, just things piled on top of them. Like he was trying to cover it up in some
Because
bizarre
that
way.
wouldn't be like if some like risky teenagers just went to go like make love in that bedroom, they wouldn't be like, wow, look at these two giant mounds of like things.
Yes. Yes.
Like I would be like, why are there two lumps like in the
Mhm.
mattress and why is there a bunch of stuff on top? Like I don't know. Maybe it's just because we watch a lot of true crime
Yeah.
and
So they
like
said
but
the scene was very, bloody and brutal and it's just what happened here. So as investigators worked tirelessly to unravel the truth, the motive behind Tyler's actions was just, inconclusive. Why he did this? Was there a strained relationship with the parents? Was it the drug abuse or, whatever kind of mental health issues he was having at the moment?
yeah.
We really don't know a motive behind it.
I just thought it was weird, like reading about it, how like he was during the party, like talking about like he made this statement, but was talking about his parents in like present tense. Because like one of the things like he kept saying to the party goers is like, hey, like don't trash the house, don't
Mhm.
smoke in the house because like my parents aren't gonna like the smell of smoke and like I'm not trying to get in trouble. And like the fact that people like trash the house. They did what they normally do at like high school parties. And like when he eventually did get questioned by police, he gave them like 7 different stories as to where his parents were. And I'm like, dude, you just told a whole party of party goers that
Exactly.
just trashed your house, and like you were just talking about your parents in present tense, and then all of a sudden now you killed them before the party. You just told everybody that, and then you're telling the cops that they were in Georgia, they were in
Yep.
Orlando, like, you know what I'm saying? And then he told like other guests, "Oh, my parents moved out of the house completely. Like the house is just mine." And I'm like, "What?"
There's
Like I
definitely
don't.
something going on with him.
Yeah, and what was even more eerie is that there was a 17-year-old that was attending the party. Lord, what's his name? Let me see. It's like Jose Orazio, and he made a joke and he said, "Oh, he probably killed his parents," and like literally did not know. Like he was just being like a jerk and just was like joking around, and yeah, and so that's when he like pulled his friend to the side and was like, "Hey, so I did kill my parents like prior to the party." And like I just thought that was crazy. I'm like, it's just ironic.
So there's this like eerie selfie that like if you see it, you're probably like, oh yeah, I've seen that before. Like just this, it's this selfie from the party that,
That's
oh
so
gosh.
creepy.
Yes.
That's really like it
So
just
this is, oh, here's the picture of like everything that was just like piled on top. I don't want to get too close. It'll,
I want to like see if I can like insert like some of
yeah,
these
it's
pictures.
just like stuff, and they were like underneath this pile of
Like he
just
looks
stuff.
absolutely obliterated too.
Yes.
Like oh my gosh, it's just so crazy. Like you just want to like think about what goes through somebody's mind. Honestly, the one thing about true crime that truly like gets my brain going is like I would love to be a fly on the wall in somebody's brain like that, just to like truly like understand like what was going through your head and like what was the motive. Like you see some of these like serial killers that are, and I hate to even say it like this, like they're very good at what they do. They're very meticulous. They clean up, and like some like the Zodiac, right? So you have the Zodiac that took years. And even now, even though they've kind of think that they've identified him, are still kind of like, it was it him? But at the same time, then you have like these other people that just do really erratic stuff when they kill somebody. Like it's like killed his parents just through like it almost looked like the room was like ransacked.
Exactly.
And then you're like telling all these stories at the party and like just doing really like dumb stuff to incriminate yourself. Like it just it's weird. Have you
And
ever
it's just
seen the
like,
movie The Cell?
no.
So it's I like it. Matt says it freaks him out because like it has like Jennifer Lopez in it, but it's about she's like a I guess she's like a detective. I forget what her like actual title is, but they're trying to hunt down they find this serial killer, they catch him or whatever, but they're trying to find his victim. He just had taken a victim so they know that she's still alive, and she has to get inside his brain. And so like they both go under in this, I don't know what kind of like machine or program it is, but like when she gets inside his head, there's like multiple sessions and it's like really messed up. And so like sometimes like I think about that. I'm like, I think it's like the best movie because it truly makes you think like maybe their brains are just like void. Like you go
Absolutely.
in there and it's just ugly, like nasty stuff, and that's just how they're programmed, like from birth.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do like a little thing and I'd be like panicking, like, oh my God,
Yeah,
oh my God. Like this kid like killed his parents and threw a whole party. Like that he
literally.
like
I
whatever.
stole jelly beans from like the
Oh
ShopRite candy bin when I was like 6,
my
and I
God.
stressed about that until I was like 15. Like I was like, I wonder if like I would ever get arrested for that. Like if they would ever call my grandparents up. And my grandma's like, "Morgan, you literally did that when you were 5, and like people literally steal whole bags of jelly beans." She's like, "You took like 3 or 4 and ate them." Like, and I was like,
My
"Well,
God.
just shows you that I'm not going to end up in prison one day. So be thankful that I'm stressed
Yeah.
over a couple jelly beans."
Yes, I've definitely done I got water bottles one time at the store and I put it in the cart like underneath and then you forget about it. So I
I do
remember
that all the
leaving,
time.
I remember leaving and I'm like, oh my God. I was like, I just stole these. And then look, this is the part. I forget to take them and I just leave them in the cart. Like I forgot to unload them out of the bottom and I left them at the store. So I was like, I stole them from the store and left them in their parking lot. Like
Somebody got free
I was
water
just,
today.
yeah, I was just panicking about like, oh my God, like I need to go take these inside. And then like it was on to the next thought and I just left them and I just put the cart back and I totally forgot. And I was like, I accidentally stole water bottles, left them.
I swear, I thought I was gonna end up on like some like news here in Delaware because like the one day I was literally buying like I couldn't even try and steal these if I wanted to, like these giant boxes of like bulk hangers.
Mhm.
And like it was like huge and I'm walking out with like 10 boxes of them and I was scanning them and it's like beeping, it's going up. So I'm just trying to get through the boxes. I didn't realize like two of them didn't scan. This guy was ready to like call in freaking SWAT at Walmart. He's like, we know what you're up to. You think this is the first time? And I was like, this is my first time. I'm like, I don't know if like you have me mixed up with somebody else, but I am not going to jail for like
For hangers.
$5 hangers.
Oh
And like
my
not for
God.
nothing, like it'd be one thing if I was just like walking out of here with like a
An
plasma TV that I
extra,
rung up for
yeah,
$5, but
yeah.
like I'm not going down for hangers.
Bro, have your hangers.
I can't.
Oh my
But
God.
I'm trying to see if I can add these pictures in because I feel like you really need to see these to like understand. Like it looked
Yes.
like a hoarding situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
Like
exactly what I was like.
it's crazy. I don't even know how to whiteboard. What's a whiteboard? Let's see. We're about to learn today. You're learning with us, listeners.
There we go. I'm just letting you know your biggest fan just texted me and said, tell Morgan I said hi.
Oh my gosh, I literally, so before we started this, I forgot. I wanted to give Nana a shout out. I wanted to like tell everybody about our experience with her. So anyway, so I guess it's never too late to start. So Nana, we were going to dedicate this episode to you, but unfortunately I am ADD, so I completely forgot, but this one is for you, Nana, our number one Girlfriend Hour fan. So I hope you listen to this and you hear us give you this shout out like 20 minutes in. So
Oh,
sorry. I'm so mad because I literally was like, don't forget Morgan. I was like, we have to give Nana a shout out. And I also have to let her know that she has a surprise coming to her from the Ghoul Friend Hour.
oh my gosh.
So yeah, so Nana, number one Ghoul Friend Hour fan, you are going to be getting a little prize, a little goodie in your mailbox soon. So I hope you love it, but I literally cannot wait.
All right. So
I don't know
while
how to do this whiteboard. I'm like, I'm giving up on it. I thought I'd be able to like click and drag. I'm like, I don't even know. Like, oh wait, here, presenting. Maybe I got it.
oh,
Let me see if this.
this looks like a
Can you see it?
yeah, it looks like you're making like a graph.
Okay, well, maybe whiteboard. I don't know if whiteboard's like the application that I need.
For everyone listening right now, Morgan has these looks like a bullet journal and has all the dots across. We're trying to add some pictures to it.
We're trying. We're
You're
trying.
listening and you're like, what are these two doing?
We're trying to figure out how to be like super kick-ass podcast host here so that you have like imagery and audio. Um yeah, I don't know. It's asking me for like presentation. Oh, okay. What is this?
I just made a box.
I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm absolutely clueless. All right. Well, so that this was not for nothing, I'm gonna draw you guys a smiley face because I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm going to put insert picture here. Oh gosh. And apparently I can't write either.
Oh my God.
Okay. So we're going to just,
It's
anyways,
another
Rachel,
unhinged evening.
pretty much, this is pretty much how it goes every single time.
Fine. Yeah, it's great.
So
Hey, our last couple ones have been amazing.
they
So
have been good. They have been good. But so getting back to Tyler Hadley.
Yeah.
So yeah, so kind of like what we were talking about is I just wanted to show you guys like the weird like ransack situation that he covered his parents with. And I didn't understand how bad it was until I saw this one picture because in like certain angles it doesn't look super bad. So then I saw this other picture and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Like he literally threw everything that was either in the attic or in his parents' room like on top of them.
Mm-hmm. And it's just like
So
he was so like I don't know, different ways that people like kill people like a hammer. Like you like did that with a hammer to your own parents.
yeah,
Like that is like some ooh.
it's just terrible. Like, I don't know. I just don't. I think that that's like, it's one thing. Like, I think people who can shoot somebody, like, that's a much easier way, like, in my opinion, to kill someone. Cause it's like, I feel like a coward can do that. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
takes a lot to hold a gun and pull the trigger. Like, that's scary as is. But to take a hammer or
Yep.
like that to me, like that, I feel like that just signifies like rage. Like there's got to be some kind of anger behind that because, like, I mean, that's personal and that's like gruesome and like, I don't know. I just,
Yeah, it literally says that he took like his parents' cell phones to like hide them so that they couldn't like call for help or anything.
uh, I
And
know
he
that
also took ecstasy pills and before he did it.
he looks messed up in that picture with the red
Yes.
solo cup. I was
Yeah.
like, he's got to be on something because you could see his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So if this was like a mental break plus drug induced kind of episode.
yeah. And his, I guess apparently like one of his, I don't know if it was his best friend, but somebody that he had known from childhood, last name was Mandel. He basically said that this was the guy that he confessed to about killing his parents.
Mhm.
And he initially had thought that like he was joking and it was kind of like, haha, yeah, okay. Because the other kid had made a joke and he's like, yeah, whatever. And then when Hadley like said to him, he said, no, like I'm for real. He's like, look at like both their cars are in the driveway. And that's when like this Mandel guy was like, what? Like, and he started to think like, okay, maybe it's true. And then he was the one that like made his way up to the master bedroom and he saw like blood near a computer desk. He saw it outside the bedroom door. And then when he opened the door, that's when he saw his parents like dead on the floor in a pool of blood. And so like I
Cool. It
it's
even said,
just
like he he had told another friend like weeks prior to this that he wanted to kill his parents.
why
So like
would like and as a
premeditated
friend, like
and have a big party afterwards. This is the quote. Wanted to kill his parents and have a big party afterwards.
I just I just feel like I don't know, maybe I'm just like this is probably why I have like minimal friends because I am I'm not a yes man. Like if you tell me some shit like that, I'm going to be like, okay, first off, I'm calling authorities. Second off, like I will be the friend that'll help you hide the body, but it has to be like reasonable circumstance,
Yeah.
okay? Like
So
and
he's
law
like
enforcement,
telling
if
all
you are
his
listening
friends
to
this.
this is purely
Yeah.
podcast talk. This like locker room
Yes.
talk. Please don't take this seriously.
Yeah. So like the friends like weren't sure. Like he was telling people this, but they also didn't believe him.
And he said he spent like 3 hours cleaning up the crime scene. And I was like, that you cleaned?
I was like boy cleaning. You just covered it up. Like
I'm like, what are you, like a dog? Like you just like take a shit and then throw dirt on it? Like that's
yep.
essentially what he did. He just like,
Yep. And he had been arrested a couple months prior with aggravated battery. So this was like his not his first like criminal offense. So
that's just
and
terrible.
he was in a week of jail and then 2 weeks of house arrest. And so that was like less than a month before this happened.
And what's crazy to me is that Mandel guy, like he didn't leave the party like immediately afterwards, which like I think is like super crazy because like I mean, if I don't know that I wouldn't be able to make a scene. Like if I went upstairs, saw my like best friend's parents like dead, like I would be like, everybody get the F out, call 911. Like,
Yeah.
how do you just like turn around, close the door, and be like, well, I'm gonna hang out here for a little bit and maybe like shock. I mean, everybody handles shock differently, but there was a quote and he said, if you were in my shoes and that guy was your best friend, you wouldn't want to leave right away. I know how heinous and sick this is. You know what he did, and I knew it was gonna be the last time I ever saw him. I mean, that's a ride or die friend right there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. Like that, there was no fight or flight there. He just kind of like,
No. So that same friend was like, he thought the murders were prompted by Tyler's mom, like taking away his phone and like over disciplining him because, he had come home drunk again, and it was just too much for him. Plus all of these arrests, and there was a stay at a mental health facility, plus his week in jail, plus his house, like all of these things were just like spiraling out of control.
and like you said, it wasn't the first, like he had said, even from as young as 10 years old, multiple times confessing to multiple friends, like that he wanted to kill both his parents. And like, there was one, uh, there was Mark Andrews, which is one, Hadley, Mark Andrews, Marky Phillips, and there was another one. But basically, like, these were all the people that he confessed to at some point. Like, I hate my parents. He has all this anger towards them, and just frequently kept saying how he wanted to kill them. And it's like, I feel like if somebody, like, it's one thing if you get pissed at your parents, like, oh, I freaking hate them, like, blah, 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 blah. But, like, if he's saying this multiple times,
When are we
like,
going to
when was
actually like
somebody gonna
believe
kind of
him
be like,
or
hey,
check in with this?
yeah, like maybe we should mention to his parents like he needs a psychiatrist, or I don't know. Like,
Yeah, so in 2014, he was convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And I'm pretty sure it said he was and sentences to life terms. The only reason he avoided the death penalty was because he was under 18 when he committed the crimes.
oh, dang. What's crazy too is like, so kind of going history wise on like, because people are always like, what's the why? Like,
Mhm.
why, what was his motive? And so obviously, like we said, if you're going to bludgeon somebody with a hammer, I mean, that's a lot of anger and resentment and, so on and so forth. But it also was revealed that that might not have been the only thing that was the issue, because apparently he had told several friends, including this Mandel guy who's been around for years, that he was physically abused by his father. Which, I mean, if
And he
you
makes
kind of
claims
dissect things,
to his friends that like that wasn't like his dad.
oh, I didn't
So
see that. That's crazy. So, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why. Like, I can understand, like I know like we grew up with like spankings and stuff like that, but I do think hitting can definitely cause some like festering. Like I think that like when there's physical like children, especially like if he was younger, they probably don't know how to like process that. So like that continuous hitting, and especially if he was physically abusive, I mean, that's just like the perfect recipe to create like a boil over. And I mean, he may have acted out on just strict anger and like you said, maybe been on drugs, but that's, I don't know. And this Mandel guy keeps coming to bat for him, which I think is like, I don't know how I feel about it. Like I'm sitting here and I'm like, I mean, he probably knew some stuff, but at the same time, like I feel like there's routes you can go, like before there's definitely steps before like bludgeoning your parents to death. And
that's like
like,
the last on the list there.
yeah. Like I don't know, like the fact that he like this Mandel guy basically said that he thought the murders were prompted by the fact that like Hadley's parents was like over disciplining him. And it's like maybe he needed like discipline, but like then again, if it was physical abuse, there's a difference.
Yeah.
So like I just would be like confused. Confused. No, that's not the word I'm looking for. I'm telling you, my brain's on vacation. I would be intrigued, is what I meant to say, to see what truly transpired. And like, I wish sometimes I could be like, I could have a bird's eye view on some of these murder cases and see all like the turning parts and like what led to what. Like, was it truly just senseless, or was this something that was aggravated over time until it bubbled up and then blew over?
I think that's probably definitely what it was.
It makes me mad though that he never like had a motive, like that he
Yeah.
never revealed anything. Because I feel like at least like some of these serial killers and stuff, they give us something.
And there was a psychiatrist at his case who says that, Tyler was operating on some kind of like delusion of a severe mental illness caused by depression and worsening by obsessive thoughts of killing his parents and himself.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I I know that like he was what resentenced and it was like in October of 2018. And he had said something to the extent of like he like was resentful for like what he did and apologized to like his family for killing his parents. And I'm like kind of like watching some of the like the video clips from the courtroom at his resentencing. I'm like, damn,
Like you just like took your whole life away.
he
Like,
and like your family, that's got to be
yeah.
such a conflicting feeling. Like this is somebody like I always try and like put myself in their shoes, and I'm like when I think about like my godchildren, my nieces, nephews, I love them unconditionally. Like I don't think that there's anything that they could do to like truly like make me disown them. And it's like the amount of like conflicted feelings his family must feel. Like
Mm.
you just took away like somebody's daughter, somebody's son, brother, sister, and you're still like their grandson, their nephew. And it's like, how do you deal with that?
And what was also interesting too is that he had an antidepressant in his system. Like he had been taking that.
Oh.
Um, and they were talking about that could have revved up his obsessive and homicidal thoughts that could have like destroyed him for the couple months before it had happened.
Some of those meds, I mean, they have really adverse like effects. But I feel like if that's the case, his psychiatrist needs to be like evaluated and like
Plus,
licenses need to be.
yeah, plus his, alcohol and, drug use too probably
You're
wasn't
not supposed to
a
drink on
good
that for
combo.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just another thing that I thought was strange was that when he was at the resentencing in 2018, he never once it was reported that he never once faced his father's relatives,
Hmm.
that he apologized and expressed sorrow for killing his parents, and like his father's relatives were seated like feet away from him and he never once like made eye contact with them or faced them. And he in a statement, like he said, words cannot explain the amount of remorse and sorrow over my actions that have affected so many people. And he said, but most of all, my family, who I still care about greatly. Um, it's that's terrible.
Yeah.
And
I think
he's
it's just a
what
hard mix of like things going on in his head, plus all of the, prior stuff that he did about, he admitted to stealing money from his parents all the time, and that, he committed burglary as young as 13 years old and robbing people and his friends, and he was armed with a weapon. So, just a lot of like crime stuff happening in his past too, even when he was younger, like 13 years old. Good God.
it makes you think like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like it's like, was he just born with like this chemical imbalance, and he just had a
Mhm.
really just that was just the hand of cards that life dealt him, and was like, some people I feel like they just fall into that, or like was he made like that by like family
Yeah.
issues? That's crazy for somebody so young to have that like kind of record in history. And the one thing I did want to read was another statement that he had made. So I guess like, and mind you, this is again from the resentencing, and he wrote a whole letter for his family. So one of his closing statements was, I still don't understand myself and the reasons for my atrocious actions. I really don't know, he said. Contrary to what anyone else may tell you, I'm telling you the truth. For me to try and explain would be like making excuses, and there is no excuse. What I can tell you is how sorry I am, how I wish it never happened. And I'm sorry to my brother, my grandparents, and the rest of my family and my parents' friends. He said, I'm sorry I took them away from you.
Mm.
Dang. I like reading like the health experts on like the defense because they did say I'm going to read a couple of like excerpts from the health experts at the resentencing, because they had said, I've never seen anything like this in all of my 30 years of practice. A psychiatrist testified at Tyler Hadley's resentencing Wednesday and referred to the 17-year-old killer's lack of violent history, which I didn't understand that part, because I'm like, he does have a criminal history and he did have weapons. I mean, I would consider that violent. I mean, I guess it's in the eye
Well,
of
maybe
the beholder.
nothing to like this extreme. Like, he did some robbing, he did some vandalism, he did, those kind of things, but nothing to the
Yeah.
fact of like hurting a human being.
Yeah, and they basically said it's not unexpected that Hadley had lied to mental health experts after his arrest, including faking symptoms of a psychosis and claiming he heard voices. Harvard Medical School professor Eugene Bearson said, testifying for the defense. Um, he said, under the influence of depression, low self-esteem, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, substance misuse, medications being taken, Bearson said that there were many reasons why a teenager would misrepresent the truth to stay out of trouble. Um, and they just keep going back to the fact that the murders were a complete outlier because he had no record of violent behavior, which, again, like I said, I don't necessarily know that I agree with that, because it's not that he had no record of violence, because he was violent
Mhm.
and he had said many like violent statements, but he had never maybe physically attacked or killed anybody prior.
Mhm.
Um, and what I thought was interesting too is one of the professionals said that I have never seen or heard of a murderer without a prior history of violent behavior. And records show that Tyler was liked by his peers, liked by students, that he was never violent. He had no history at all of violence, Barrison testified. That was so striking to me because I would have expected in an individual who committed such a horrible crime that there would be a pattern of violent behavior. Um, I mean, how do you feel about that statement?
Mm. I've just like, it's hard because seeing all his past histories and things like that, it's just like when they talk about serial killers, how it's like it starts with animals, it starts with fires, it starts with, all those types of things, where it's just like, hey, he started with burglary and then he started with assault and vandalism and like kind of went to that
Yeah.
extreme, where I don't think he was completely right in his head. Obviously had some issues going on. They were obviously trying to fix that with these antidepressants. I don't know if that had some kind of reverse on him, since he was, doing drugs and alcohol and, mixing all that together. If that just threw him out of whack. But I just feel like he has no remorse for this, and he did it, and obviously he did it, but that he threw a party, he killed his parents and then threw a party.
I
I just
like
don't think there was a lot right going on with him.
No. And I just think that like what bothers me the most about that statement is that I don't think, like, maybe this is just a psychiatrist who has not seen a lot of murder, but I
Yeah.
mean, if you're somebody that watches true crime, you're something that like somebody that follows this, there's so many different ways to create a killer. And I
Hmm.
think that there's people who are like born just detached, like generalized psychopaths. There are people who either have detachment disorder, maybe didn't bond with a parent, whatever you want to name it. But there are people who just have moments of temporary insanity where like they reach a point, like a boiling point of like, I can't take this anymore. And if they're already in a fragile mental state and they just snap, like that's very possible too. Like somebody doesn't need to necessarily have a history of violence in order to commit like a heinous crime like this. Like I think that there are just genuinely some people out there that they just hit their boiling point and they're like they just pop off.
Yeah. And it said too that like he was considering different ways too. So it's not like it was like a
Premeditated.
like, oh God, I'm doing this right now. He was like, oh, I thought about like an axe and kitchen scissors and, doing all this stuff, but I don't think it was just like a blackout, like, there's people that I just think of the ones that are like they're on some kind of like sleeping medication.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and they end up like killing somebody and then they come to and they're like, what the heck?
Literally. And that'll be a fun one to talk about because that actually happens more than people realize.
That
Sleeping
is,
medications are scary. I just think
yes.
medications, if you're not familiar with them, like as somebody who like goes to therapy and is on medications, I can safely say that like a good psychiatrist will have a handle on what you're taking, what you're doing, what your symptoms are. And I truthfully feel like if he was seeing, because he had to have been seeing a psychiatrist if he was on a depression med, unless he was getting it off the streets.
Yeah.
But if he was getting it through a psychiatrist, why isn't that psychiatrist like being held accountable? Because I mean, if he has a history of like misuse and things like that, that should have been tightened down on. And then like, well, I mean, I don't know how this works in sense of like, can you really deprive somebody of um medications for mental illness if they have a history of misusing? Like I don't know what the guidelines are for that. Like can you technically say no, I can't give these to you because we know that you misuse, or
If
I'm not
he
really
was just
sure,
like,
but
no, I don't do drugs or alcohol.
yeah. And I
Because
feel
he
like
was
though, like
17 years old.
yeah, like I feel like a parent though, being that he's underage, like there's definitely ways that like my psychiatrist, like she grills me. Like she's like, what are your symptoms? What like, have you had this and da 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 da, and like, won't like let other people be in the room with me. And if they do, like there's just like protocols and to everything. And it's very like thorough and strict. And so I guess my mind just goes to like, where's his psychiatrist and all this? Because I would like to hear like his or her side of things and like what went wrong and like why was he able to take these meds improperly and it wasn't like monitored,
Yeah.
because like you really can go wrong with that kind of stuff, hallucinations, I mean you name it.
Because I think that it said that he wasn't on them very long, probably like a month prior.
Mm-hmm. And to kind of like did you have anything on like where he was like nowadays?
What? Like in prison?
Yeah. Like what he's doing. I have a little spiel on in case our listeners want to know what Tyler Hadley is up to these days.
Besides serving 2 life sentences.
Well, okay, so okay, I'm gonna use that as a segue. So actually, not that I'm happy about this, but like basically they said that um I'll read the one little part before I get into that, but they basically said that they thought it was very weird. This is what this Harvard psychiatrist said. They thought it was very weird even more because Hadley apparently had a very strong attachment to his parents, especially his mother. And they were so confused as to like why he would kill them, especially being as close with his mother. So that kind of was like a little bit weird. But coming back to this resentencing, so he's now 24 years old. He's facing only a minimum of 40 years in prison. So like he literally would get out when he's like 64. So still relatively, did I do the math on that right? Yeah, 64. So um for murdering two people, like, and he'll be out, like young enough that he still could have like life to live. And the reason that I wanted to kind of read some of these statements and stuff from these like healthcare clinicians and psychiatrists is because they are hell-bent on proving to the court system that he can be rehabilitated and put back into society. And they basically, after his appeal, threw out his 2014 life sentence that he was given, and they ordered that he be resentenced. So now he's only facing a minimum of 40 years. And kind of a little bit of the stuff that they had provided, they said evidence of maturity, was that in 7 years since the murders had happened, that they believe he's grown up more, he's more self-aware, he's improved himself in prison, including getting a GED, teaching other inmates, and he's not showing signs of depression or anxiety that he had during his teen years. He knew how to stay out of the gangs and out of the faces of other inmates who could cause him harm. So according to Bearson, he said that this is major evidence of maturity and thinks that this is a big piece of why he can be rehabilitated. And he said, although he can't predict who Hadley will be decades from now, he is showing the ability to keep his composure and adjust to his environment. Little sketchy, little. The Christian in me is like, show him some grace and maybe, but then the other part of me is like, I watched too much of this, and once a snake, always a snake. Like if you do it once, you might do it twice. So that once is enough for me.
So I just saw that his brother also is trying to make sure that he doesn't receive any inheritance from his parents' estate and from their 401k. So it says that a person who intentionally and unlawfully kills another person is not entitled to reap the benefits of the unlawful and unintentional deaths. So he'll be disqualified from receiving life insurance policy benefits payments, all of this other stuff. So his older brother's trying to make sure that he doesn't receive anything.
I mean, I can't blame him.
Yeah.
I can't blame him. This poor kid, he's probably been through so much.
What insurance person would be like, you know what, you killed them, here's some money, like you're entitled to it, but his brother's making sure that that doesn't happen.
Oh my gosh. I felt really bad when I was reading about like all the cross-examination stuff that was happening, and his poor grandmother. She's 91 years old, and she has to sit through this cross-examination, and they said that she like left like before the lunch break, and she was upset and she was shaking and was really troubled by how vigorously they had to examine Hadley, because again, he's being cross-examined, re-examined to be resentenced and to be rehabilitated. And I think that his family is probably super worried that this is not the move. And so of course they have to run through pictures, descriptions, his account of things, and I'm like, that has got to be so traumatizing to have to sit through that and like listen.
I just can imagine like the kids too that were at that party. Like,
oh my gosh,
started to find out like, hey, is this legit or not? And they're just like, some of them are leaving, some of them are staying. So it's just like finding out like, oh yeah, that was true. And I was there. And it said there were about 60 people there.
Damn, that's a big party. Oh my gosh. I like, it just gets worse and worse. It's worse, but I think it's about to get worser.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about this.
It talked about how this was kind of like in that trend of like teen crimes, like starting to see that like increase of teen crimes. And I just like, I see these about like, there was one on TikTok I saw a while ago, and the boy had like stabbed his girlfriend and like left her in the woods and then continued to like help the police. Like this was like
why do they always do that? Like you kill somebody and then you're helping the police look for them. Like, first off, that should be a red flag for police right there. Like if they offer, they're like, oh, I'll help you look, I would be like, suspect.
And so what had
to
happened
jail.
too was, they lived in this neighborhood, this community, and every single person was able to piece together from, there are cameras everywhere these days. People have cameras everywhere. Piece together him going and him coming back. So
Yeah.
like he was so in trouble by, in the community. I'll have to find it and send it to you. But that one was just like he had stabbed her like over 100 times. Like I remember
Again, that's another one. Like
watching
anger.
the sister. She did this at the sentencing or whatever. She had this jar and she had all these rocks and she's counting 116, I think it was, rocks, and she's like, that's how many times. This is like a physical representation of how many times you did this to my sister. And like it was just like silent in there.
Because that's like a mic drop moment. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like honestly, that's brilliant that she did that because I think that like
She
it's
took her
one thing to
time to put
hear it.
all these rocks in this thing, and like
Good for her.
I'll have to find it, but it was just like just insane, like a young kid.
I think we had something like that happen in Delaware not too long ago. There was like there was a girl that went missing and like they ended up finding her and she was dead in the woods and like her boyfriend and then like a mutual friend of theirs, like killed her. Like they all went to hang out and like they went to the woods or something. I have to look up that story because I thought that was another like really interesting one. I felt terrible because I'm like she was young. Like we're talking like 14,
Mm-hmm.
like, and I'm like, what
Those are
is
always like the
happening?
scariest ones, is like the kids that like meet up with each other and they're like, oh, we're gonna like kill this friend.
Like those Slender Man
But
people.
yes, yep.
I just don't understand. Like, as a young, I just want to know what's changing them. That's what
Yeah,
I want to know. Like, people are like, oh, it's video games, it's this, it's that. And it's like, I want to know what the real reason is. Like, why are these groups of kids thinking that like murder
that's
is
okay.
like, they're
And
just
like you're
so
not gonna get caught.
desensitized to it?
This
Yeah.
isn't like 300 years ago. Like you're gonna get caught.
We got more technology nowadays.
Yep. Yep.
Like, I don't even understand. And like, chances are between AI and whatever else we have, like, they have your face, they have your fingerprint, they probably have your DNA, like, they have everything on you. So, all it's going to take is one stupid move and don't drop the soap, dude. Don't drop the soap because it's going to be a long prison sentence.
Mhm.
I cannot. People are wild.
Absolutely
Well,
wild.
I do have like one small update that I will say. So apparently, after the resentencing, he they basically recharged him with two life sentences.
Mhm.
So he was not going to get out of it that fast. I guess they didn't prove well enough that he could be rehabilitated. Um, and it seems like probably the family has not forgiven him yet, which is to be expected.
Absolutely.
But I guess the father's relatives made a statement and just said basically, we hope we never have to do this again. We're happy with the judge's decision. It was the right decision to make. And as far as we're concerned, the only decision. We're very pleased that it's done and we feel like we've gone to another funeral today. That's really sad. I
Mm.
wanted to just add that in as we kind of wrap up our episode, so that people kind of have an answer as to what's going on with Mr. Hadley, because I was kind of thrown off at the fact that there could be a chance that he would get out when he was 64. And I was like, I'm not satisfied with that. More punishment. But now he has two life sentences. I know I probably sound terrible for saying that, but I'm like, you know what? Like, you bludgeoned your parents, dude.
Exactly. It's something's not connected upstairs.
Like, honestly, Rachel, ask us, listeners, ask us how many times we've been to jail. How many?
Zero.
25, but it wasn't my fault, okay? No, I'm just kidding. I have never been to jail. So neither of us have gone to jail
Nope.
0 times. And ask us how we did that. It's because we follow the law. We don't kill people.
Yep.
And if we feel like we want to kill somebody, we just like we envision just quick shanking them in our head and then we move on with our day. We don't actually follow through with the act of killing somebody. So um just don't do it and you won't have any
That guy on
problems.
TikTok, and he's like, chill out, quit murdering people.
Yeah,
Get a seven up.
literally, it's that
I can't
simple.
even.
It's literally that simple. Like,
Yeah,
just don't
just
do it. Like, I
don't
don't
murder
understand.
people.
Don't just chill out, man. Just chill out. Quit murdering people.
Like, hey, you could
But
have been out of the house in like a year or so. Like,
seriously, like it's okay. Say you got in like a little shuffle scuffle with your dad, right? You push each other around, you get mad, you go to separate rooms, you slam your door, and you're not facing 2 life sentences.
yep,
Like that's like a normal family relationship. Now, if there was some like serious stuff going on, I can understand like self-defense or something like that, but this was a little bit I'd need all the facts. I'd need more facts here because this just seemed a little bit too premeditated and a little bit too
exactly.
unhinged.
And especially too, if like he had a good relationship with his mom, like why
I don't
why was it
understand
her
that.
too?
I don't
Well,
like it's sad because his parents were, I think it said in there, like his mom, so if he's 24, like he would have been she would have been 55 at his resentencing. So like she was young
yeah, I think it said
and
she was
like
a dancer.
that's so sad. I know I keep saying that, but it's like it just
Yeah,
is it's crazy. Like it's not supposed to happen like that. So
no,
just like I said, don't do it. Just don't commit crime,
that's
okay?
my number one.
And I guess I mean if you are going to be a serial killer or a murderer, like get like there's ways like you know how alcoholics can have like mocktails? Like get a mannequin, like stab a mannequin if you really need to. Like this is not good advice. This
Oh
is not
gosh, this is
professional
turning.
advice.
Yeah, this is turning into
A lawsuit waiting to happen. But like just
safe tips for murderers.
yeah, mocktails. Just create murderous mocktails, okay? But don't do the real thing. It's bad for your health, okay?
Yeah,
So that's our True Crime Tuesday advice today, okay?
don't murder.
Don't murder, and if you have to, just fake it. Fake
Fake
murder. Okay, we're gonna cut this off before I get sued for bad advice. This is just strictly for laughs and entertainment. I'm gonna put that out there for legal purposes. But all right, so Rachel, you're gonna wrap us up with our favorite slogan.
All right. And as always, let's get
Get
weird.
weird.
It's
I
weird.
feel like we gotta like I'm gonna have to find like a little sound button so we can add a little recording to that. A little music. All right, everybody. Before we get delusional, I'm gonna say goodnight. Good night.